as I said in the speech, Pennsylvania has 45% more people, 3 times the land mass, and they have a $6 billion less budget than we do. And no one's picking Harrisburg, for state services. So there are places we can cut, but we're going to do it responsibly. Okay? That's why I said a new way of budgeting. We're going to look at what our revenue is, and then we're going to discuss together in a bipartisan way, Republicans and Democrats, what our priorities are. Let's fund those priorities we can agree on, and then whatever money we have left, we'll fund the next priorities down, and when we're out of money, the rest of them fall off the table. And so, I'm not going to get into specifics about percentages or whatever, because quite candidly, that'd be irresponsible to do at this point. I'm talking about a whole new way of approaching budgeting, and anybody who's seen me will know I'll be tough enough to use the line item veto pen and make the tough decisions that need to be made. First of all, I said this was a 4-year plan. Okay, so I'm not saying I'm cutting taxes in the first year. The first thing we have to do is get our fiscal house in order. And that's going to be tough to do, and we're going to have to do it together. Then we're going to move towards tax cuts, because we are not competitive any longer. If you look at our neighboring states, this is not an option anymore. We have to become more competitive. I remember talking to Governor Kane about this, and he said when he was governor, he used to tell people, find out what the tax rates are in our neighboring states, and then make ours just a little bit lower. And I'm going to try to pursue the same kind of policies that Governor Kane pursued. And when he did, you saw during his time 400,000 new jobs created in New Jersey. So I'm not saying we're going to do it on day one, Fred, because that would be irresponsible. But I'm saying this is a 4-year plan for us to do this, and that's what I'm going to focus on, is getting things done in 4 years, not in 4 days or 4 months. When I was appointed U.S. Attorney, everybody said, there's no way this guy could do this job because he's never prosecuted a criminal case. And I had people just like you, not you, Martin, but people just like you saying, how are you going to get your mind around the enormity of being a criminal prosecutor? Well, I handled it. And I will do the same thing as governor. I don't profess to have every answer to every question, but that's not what leaders are supposed to do. What leaders are supposed to do is get the best people around you possibly can, open your ears and close your mouth, start listening, and then decide where to go. So, for anybody who's concerned about that, tell them to look at the record as U.S. Attorney, not the prosecutions, but look at the fact that when I walked in that door on January 17, 2002, I had not ever prosecuted a criminal case, and to look at the record that we established until December 1st of 2008, and I don't think anybody will then be concerned that there's going to be something that's going to be outside my capacity. First of all, I would not force consolidation. I think the governor's ham-handed approach to this last year of trying to force consolidation is just another example of the fact that he thinks all wisdom resides in Trenton. What I would do is to try to encourage sharing of services and encourage consolidation, but towns have to make those decisions. I have no idea, for instance, whether Princeton Borough and Princeton Township should merge. I live in Mendon. I have no idea. And I don't expect I'm going to understand that once I go to Trenton. But what I will do is encourage the mayors in all those types of towns to look at sharing services and to look at consolidation, and I hope perhaps provide incentives for them to doing it. But if the government provides incentives for doing that, then they have to show us how much they're going to save the taxpayers. And if they don't save that money for the taxpayers, then I want my money back. That's accountability. Everyone has to contribute to solving the problem, and no one should be exempt from that. And so I would say to the labor unions the same thing that I would say to everyone else in this state. We have a family crisis here. The family of New Jersey is in economic crisis, and everyone in the family has to step up and contribute to solving the problem. And leadership is about convincing those people that they need to step up and do that. And if you don't buy into that, then you won't be able to solve the problems. I think we need to focus much more on tax cuts and much less on the typical pork barrel Washington spending that I fear is what's in this bill. And so we need to focus much more on things that will stimulate the economy and not things that are just going to be pet projects for members of Congress.